Hey everyone, welcome to the Green Flag Podcast, Episode 2. We are at Watkins Glen this week, so really looking forward to breaking down this race. Anyway, before we continue, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the new videos, I would really appreciate that. You can also follow us both on Twitter at ChrisPinell16 and Andrew is at _DFS. Now, he is mainly the UFC and PGA guy, but he loves NASCAR as well, so he's hopping on for the podcast to give his thoughts with me as well. So anyway, if you want access to our extra content, we have a NASCAR cheat sheet put together. It's got all the stats you need, our target sheet, our GPP driver exposures, rankings, projections, and all that good stuff, and our Slack chat where you can ask questions all day. Before we continue, I will let Andrew give a little introduction so it doesn't feel left out.
What's up, guys? My name is Andrew. Some of you know me as Thundernut DFS. I'm very excited to go bowling at the Glen this week. Last week was crazy. I was in first place after the first stage, after the second stage, all the way up to the second or third last lap, and then that wreck happened, and it took me right out of first place and put me back to like 200th place. But I'm excited to get back, and I'm ready to win some money.
Yeah, that always sucks. It always happens. But anyway, let's get into this track. Let's do a little brief preview of what this track is and how we should approach it before we get into the driver-by-driver breakdown. So we're going to go bowling at the Glen this week. We're at Watkins Glen. This is a road course, so comparable to Sonoma. This is 2.45 miles in length, and we only have 90 laps, which means we only have 67.5 Dominator points available, so not a lot of Dominator points this weekend. So some strategy and tips. This is an impound race. Now, this is the most important thing in this podcast, really, because all of this info is subject to change. We just wanted to get this out earlier so more people could view it. Now, what's an impound race? So they're going to be doing inspection at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and if they fail inspection, they lose their qualifying spot and will be scored as they were scored in the back, as they were starting in the back. So let's say Kyle Busch starting third fails inspection. I hope not. He will be scored somewhere in the 30s. So just something to keep an eye out for. So anyway, other strategy and tips we have here are finishing position and finishing position. We want guys that can finish really high with all of the with the lack of Dominator points available. We just need guys that can finish high, and that'll be the winning lineup. And for lineup construction, we're only going to want one Dominator max per lineup. It would not make sense to play Kyle Busch or Martin Truex in the same lineup because there's not enough laps to make them both viable to hit value. And we also want place differential as usual, and we want to look for drivers that are good at road courses. And like I was saying earlier, we want guys that can finish high because last year we had 3 guys starting in the top 10 finish in the winning lineup. So anyway, that's enough of the strategy and tips. Let's get into the driver-by-driver breakdown. I'm going to start us off with Kyle Busch. So Kyle Busch, there's really not much to say about him. He's always the top play pretty much heading into every single week. He swept practice. He was first in the 5-lap in practice 1, first in the 5-lap and 10-lap in practice 2. So he pretty much has the best car, arguably. Not really arguably, I guess he does if you're just looking at straight practice. And he's been good here. He has averaging 38 DraftKings points per race. And that might not sound like a lot, but really these guys don't score a lot of points here with a lack of laps. He has a 109 driver rating. He doesn't have a win here in the past 5 races, though, which might sound a little crazy to you, and his average finish is 11.6, but he's still an excellent play. He's in the top 10 80% of the time, top 5 40% of the time, averaging the most fast laps per race here, and the second or third most, I think the third average, yeah, he's third in average laps led here, so do like Kyle Busch quite a bit, and I'll let Andrew get into Martin Truex.
Yeah, I like Kyle Busch a lot. And another guy that's pretty good here is Martin Truex. In the past 2 years, he has an average finish of 1.5, and that includes a win and 2 top 5s in there in the past 2 races. So he's very good here, and I think he's starting 4th. Right behind Kyle Busch. So I don't know if he's going to pass Kyle Busch at some point. He might. So I think it's a very good play at 11,300. I'm going to have a lot of Busch. I'm going to have a lot of Truex. They're probably 2 of my favorite plays. They're definitely up there. Truex did show pretty good speed in practice 1 with a 4th 5-lap. And then in practice 2, he was 10th in 5 laps. So nothing crazy, nothing like Kyle Busch, but still he's a very good play, and he's very good here.
Are you planning on going heavier on Truex or Busch as of like right now?
As of right now, I'm leaning Busch right now.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough trying to pick between these two. I think that's what a lot of people are going to be trying to decide between this weekend, and it's going to be really tough. So we'll see. So Kevin Harvick at 10,900. Now, he's kind of in an interesting spot this weekend. He did not show a lot of speed whatsoever in practice, but I kind of overlook that for guys like Busch, Truex, and Harvick because they're just so dominant of drivers, and they got great equipment. So I'm going to overlook that a little bit, and he is starting 15th, so he does offer us place differential upside with what the other 10K, what the other 10K and above guys do not offer us. So at 15, starting 15, I think he's got place differential upside. He has an average driver rating of 92 here, averaging 33 DraftKings points per race. Does not have any wins here, though, and he does have an average finish of 13.8, which isn't the best, but he is in the top 10 60% of the time. So I do think he makes an interesting pivot off of Busch and Truex, because if they don't dominate, they are not going to be in the winning lineup because they're just not going to make value at that hefty price tag. So maybe a guy like Kevin Harvick, he gets a top 5. That's going to be excellent place differential, and with the lack of amount of laps in this race, I do think that could be able to pay off. So don't mind going with Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, Harvick's not a bad play at all. Next, we got Brad Keselowski. He's 10,500. He's starting 10th. He showed decent speed in the first practice and the second practice with a 7 and 8 in the 5 lap there. But he hasn't been really good here in the past 2 years. He has no top 10s, and he has 2 top 20s with the average finish of 16. So I don't really like Keselowski here. I think Harvick, Truex, and Busch, and also Elliott are all better options. But I might have maybe 1 or 2, nothing crazy. But I definitely like the other options around him a lot more.
Yeah, I just really honestly don't see any way I'm going to be playing him, especially with Elliott being cheaper. So let's get into Chase Elliott on the pool. Now, I was going into this weekend, I was really hoping to be able to play some Chase Elliott, and starting in the pool, I think I'm going to be able to do it. Although it's going to come at the cost of probably playing Kyle Busch or Martin Truex, which I don't like that. But I do think Elliott can lead the first stage, and hopefully, maybe if he gets lucky, get in that second stage, get out front. But we do come with the risk of him losing his starting position. But if he comes out and leads a good portion of the early stage, or in the entire stage, I think he can make value if he can hang around in the top 5, because he is 1,300 cheaper than Kyle Busch, and if they lead about the same amount of laps, that's going to make Chase Elliott a better play. And he was fast in practice. He was second in the 5 lap in practice 1 and in practice 2, and arguably he has the best numbers here. He's averaging 43 DraftKings points per race, 110 driver rating, which is the best out of all drivers here. He has the highest ceiling driver rating of 148. He does have a win here, average finish of 9. And I just think he's a fantastic play. He's averaging the second most average fast laps and averaging the most laps led per race here. So I think Chase Elliott is a fantastic play this weekend.
Yeah, I like Chase Elliott as well. Next we got Kurt Busch. This is a very interesting play. Kurt Busch is 10,000. He's starting 7th. Didn't really show much speed in the practice there. He didn't even run a 5 lap, so we don't really have that information. But in the first practice, he was 14th. Which I don't really think is going to matter here. He's just been so good this year and so good recently, and he does have 2 top 10s in the past 2 races here. So with the average finish of 7.5, so I think he could do good here. I think he's a really nice GPP play. I think he could get that top 5, and lately we've just been seeing him do very good. We've been seeing him in the top 5, so I would not be shocked if he's definitely in the top 5, maybe top 3. So I do think he's a really nice GPP play this week.
Yeah, I do too. It's just 10,000. That's really hard to believe for Kurt Busch. So Clint Boyer at 9,700. He's starting 13th, and he's the kind of guy we like to target at road courses. He's been very good at these kind of tracks. I will say practice was not that impressive. 17th in the 5 lap in P2, 8th in P1, but he is averaging 40 DraftKings points per race here. Average driver rating of 80, which honestly isn't that impressive, but he does have an average finish of 13.4. Again, that doesn't sound too impressive, but a lot of these guys' average finishes are kind of in the teens. Like, if we're looking at Kyle Busch, it's 11.6. So honestly, 13 is not too bad. He's in the top 10 40% of the time, top 15 60% of the time. So I don't mind going with Clint Boyer. I will say, though, he's pretty expensive, so it's going to be hard to fit him in.
Yeah, another guy that's a little expensive for my liking is Denny Hamlin. He's 9,400. I'd like to get him a little bit less than that. He is starting 6th, so there's not going to be much place differential upside. But this is kind of a sneaky play here. He was very good in practice. He was 3rd in the 5 lap for practice 1 and 3rd in the 5 lap for practice 2. So he showed great speed, and he's actually not bad here with an average finish of 8.5 in the past 2 years, and that includes a top 5 and 2 top 10. So 1 top 10 and 2 top 20. So yeah, he's pretty good here. I think he is a very sneaky play. Starting 6th, I think it's a little bit risky, especially with that price. I'd like to see him priced a little bit lower, but he could finish in the top 5, but definitely more of a GPP play for me.
And he's been really good the past few races too, so he is coming in good form. So Joey Logano at 9,100. Now, usually we see Joey Logano in the high 9K range, in the double-digit not the double digit, the high 10K range to 11K. So this is a really reduced price tag. Now that's because this is not his best track whatsoever, but I don't think he's a bad play starting 21st. Now he's got an average finish of 14 here, so there is inherent place differential upside. He does have a win here, an average driver rating of 81, which it's pretty low for him, only averaging 27 DraftKings points per race. But starting 21st, I think this makes him an interesting play. He's in the top 10 60% of the time, so chances are he's gonna pay off his salary. It's just kind of hard. Again, a lot of these guys are really expensive, but for Joey Logano, he's not expensive. So I do think if you want to make him your second driver you're plugging your lineup, I wouldn't have a problem with that in cash games.
Yeah, true. These prices seem a little bit high for some of these guys this week. So especially for Eric Jones, he's 8,900. He's starting 14th. Last week, I believe he started 4 or 5, and he was in the winning lineup. So I think I'll play a little bit of him here today. Again here, he's starting 14th. He was 11th in practice too in the 5 laps. So the speed is not really there, but I think he'll be fine. He's been very good this year. So he does have an average finish of 7.5 in his past 2 races here with 2 top 10s and a top 5. So I think he can for sure get that top 10. It's just I wish he was priced a little bit lower, so it's going to be hard to fit a lot of guys in your lineup like Kyle Busch and some of the guys up top. If you do want to put Eric Jones in your lineup, I wish he was like priced around like 8,400, 300 around that range. But I'll still have some of them here. I think is a very interesting play for sure, and I do think he can get a top 10 and definitely top 5 upside.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard making lineups this weekend because all the good plays are like above 8K. So anyway, Ryan Blaney, he is starting 19th, and this is a guy I do have a lot of interest in. Last race, it was looking like it was going to be a bad showing for Blaney, but he ended up squeaking out a top 10 somehow. I have no idea where he came from, but he got up there. He was looking really bad earlier because he spun out, but he's not been bad here. He's an average finish of 13, averaging 36 DraftKings points per race. And I just think it's starting 19th, and him only being 8,700, I think this is a pretty good play. Again, I think he's just a little overpriced, but everyone is on this slate, so it's all relative. So I don't mind going with Blaney starting 19th.
Yeah, I don't mind Blaney at all. Next, we got Jimmy Johnson. He's 8,500, which is actually a reasonable price, I think. And he is starting 8th. So there's not going to be much place differential. He was 6th in the 5 lap in practice too, but I don't think I'm going to be playing much of Jimmy Johnson this week. I just don't think there's much upside here. He has an average finish of 29.5 in his past 2 races with no top 20s there. So I don't really like it. Maybe a GPP play, but I'm probably going to stay away this week. I just don't think there's much place differential, and I don't really see him in the top 5. I only see him going backwards, and that's definitely something you don't want. But that price is a little bit intriguing. So if he was starting in like the teens, like the mid-teens, I'd definitely take a shot at him. But starting top 10, I just don't think he's going to finish there.
Yeah, I will say the Hendrick team is showing a lot of speed this weekend, but Jimmy Johnson is averaging negative points per race here, so probably someone I'm going to be staying away from as well. So Kyle Larson at 8,300. Now this seems like a pretty good price tag for Kyle Larson, but I just don't see myself playing him. I know it's a good starting spot, but he's only averaging 23 points per race here. He did have some decent speed though in practice, kind of where he's starting 6th, 7th, 5th, but I mean, I could understand maybe a little sprinkle of him in GPPs, but definitely not a core play for me. Average finish of 14. Although I will say he's in the top 10, 40% of the time. So if he can hang around top 5, I guess that's fine for his price tag, but not someone I'm going to be like locking in for cash games.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we got Daniel Suarez. This is a very interesting play, and this is probably one of my favorite plays on the whole slate here. Suarez is 8,100, which that price, I don't mind paying that at all. He's starting 18th, so there's going to be a lot of place differential. And his practice times weren't all too impressive. He was 15th in the 5 lap in the first practice, and he was 14th in the 5 lap in the second practice. So the speed isn't really there, but I think we don't got to worry about that. He just has been absolutely phenomenal here in the past 2 years. He has an average finish of 3.5. He has 2 top 5s there, so he's absolutely been killing it. If he does get the average finish of 3.5, he's definitely going to be on the winning lineup. So I'm going to have a pretty good amount of Suarez, especially at that price, 8,100. I think it's you definitely can fit him in a lot of your lineups there. So I think he's going to be one of my core plays for sure. And yeah, I like him a lot. I think he definitely can finish in the top 10 and definitely top 5 upside.
Yeah, I think he's going to be my highest owned driver as of right now. Obviously, that can change with inspection, but right now he's looking like an awesome play. Eric Almirola, I am fading him. I don't see any reason to play him. He was terrible in practice. He's been terrible here in the past 5 races. He's got an average finish of 20. He just, I'm not going to do it this weekend.
Yeah, he's a really ugly play. Now we got Eric Almirola. He's 7,900.
Chris Buescher.
Oh, my bad. Chris Buescher, he's 7,700. He's starting 16th. Yeah, he was 18th in the practice 2 on the 5 lap. So the speed he was showing is 18th. And yeah, he has 2 top 20s in the past 2 years here. So with the average finish of 15. So I don't really think there's much upside, but I think he's definitely playable here starting 16. I think he could maybe see him at the end of the race in the top 10, but I'm probably not going to have much of him. I think he's a sneaky GPP play, but I definitely would play Suarez ahead of him and probably Bowman and Newman below him. So I think he'll go underlooked. So I think he'll be really low owned. So I think it could be a nice pivot maybe, but I'm not really interested. But he is definitely a sneaky play to say the least.
Yeah, he's just a good driver overall. So Alex Bowman, like I said earlier, Team Hendrick is showing quite a bit of speed this weekend, like Jimmy Johnson, although I'm not really interested in Jimmy Johnson, but Alex Bowman is, Chase Elliott is, William Byron was as well. So Alex Bowman, I think he's in a pretty good spot here. He's starting 17th. Now he's not the best at Watkins Glen. He's got an average finish of 26, but he's taken a really big step forward this year. He's just been a lot better overall. So I'm kind of going to overlook that, and I think he can get us a top 12. I think he can top 12. He's got top 12 upside, even top 10 upside, but I definitely think he's going to move forward. And at 7,600, I think that's a really good price tag for someone with upside like Alex Bowman.
Yes, I like Alex Bowman a lot. Now we got Ryan Newman. He's 7,400. He's starting 25th. So there is going to be a lot of place differential there. He did not do well in his second practice. He was 24th in the 5 lap. So that is a little bit concerning. And also his history is a little bit concerning. In the past 2 years, he does have an average finish of 22. So if he did get the average finish, he'd only get 3 place differential points. I think he's not a bad play. He does have a top 20 in the past 2 races here. So I think he could get that top 20, and he's been very good recently. So we've been seeing him do very good recently in the past few races. So I think he could probably pop off and surprise a lot of people here, even with his track history not so great, and even with his practice not so great. So I think he's going to come in a lot lower owned. So I think he's a really nice GPP play because starting 25th, if he does somehow get a top 10, like we've been seeing the past couple of weeks, we've been seeing him later in the race in the top 10 out of nowhere. So I think that could happen here. Not something I'll be too high on, but I think he's a very nice GPP play. But I'm definitely going to have a little bit of Newman.
Yeah, and this is a big strategy track, and Newman's kind of the guy that's always off the wall. So hopefully he can get a good strategy. Hopefully put him in a good place near the end of the race. So William Byron at 7,200. Now this is it's a tricky play. He's starting second, and William Byron, no matter where he starts, always seems to find himself in the winning lineup. Now, me and Andrew would fade this guy constantly when he was starting first and second, and he just kept burning us. So I don't mind taking a stab here and hoping he stays in like the top 6, because at 7,200, even if he loses a couple place differential points, I think that's still going to be okay. Now, he was fast in practice in P2. He was fourth in the 5 lap, and then he was ninth in the 5 lap in practice 1. So that's pretty good numbers. And overall, Team Hendrick has showed a lot of speed this weekend. And this is a good track for him. I know it's only one race, but it's all I can really go off of. He finished 8th. He scored 44 DraftKings points. He's got an average driver rating of 99.4. So I don't mind taking a stab at William Byron, although I will say it's not a lot of upside and there is some downside. So just my opinion on that.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to be playing some William Byron this week, but yeah, I think he could definitely finish in the top 10. Now we got Daniel Hemrick. He's 7,000. Looks like they bumped up his price after his nice finish last week. He's starting 23rd in practice. He had 16th in the 5 lap in the second practice there, so some decent speed from where he's starting. He doesn't have any track history here, so kind of going in blind here. I think he could be a decent play. I don't know how much I'm going to have of him. He did very well last week. I don't know how good he is at road courses. Chris, you probably have the stats for that, but I think he could be like a really sneaky play here. But I don't think I'm going to have much of him, and I don't think there's that much upside.
Yeah, Hemrick at Sonoma, he finished 19th, so not the worst. but I do think he's a little overpriced for Daniel Hemrick. So let's go to Paul Menard at 6,900. He qualified 22nd, and I think this is just a meh play. I think he's probably going to finish around 22nd, but at 6,900, he's not the worst driver in the world, and I don't think he's going to sink your lineups, but I don't think he's going to be like a GPP winner. Average finish of 22.6 here, so really kind of what I'm thinking. I think he's going to finish right around where he starts, and if there is inspections and he moves up, I think he just becomes a worse play.
Oh yeah. Now we got Michael McDowell. He's 6,800. He's starting 11th. Did not show speed in practice. It was 27th in the 5-lap in practice 1 and 20th in the 5-lap in practice 2. So that is very, very concerning. But he's very good at road courses. And in the past 2 years, he does have an average finish of 15 here with 2 top 20s. Man, I would say I want to fade him, but he'll probably, if I do fade him, we'll probably be ending up in the winning lineup. So I'm gonna have a little bit of Michael McDowell. He's definitely talented enough to do good here, but I don't know how much upside there is. I really can't picture him in the top 10, but I think he could get there. Practice times and all that just are really scaring me away. But I'll have a couple for sure. I'm not going to completely fade Michael McDowell because I do know he loves road courses.
Yeah, it seems like every time we fade a cheap guy that's starting near the top, they seem to end up in the winning lineup anyway. So maybe it's time to hop on that trend. Austin Dillon, I hate Austin Dillon. He's at 6,600, starting 28th, and he had a really good race last weekend. And then in the last couple laps, it's really what kind of screwed Andrew out of winning first place in that tournament because Austin Dillon just dropped. He probably doesn't want to hear that again, but that's what happened. And Austin Dillon has not been very good here, and he did not show good times in practice. He was 29th in the 5-lap in practice 2 and 17th in practice 1, and he has an average finish of 27 here, so that's pretty awful. He does have an average running position, though, of 24, which is slightly better. Then 6,600, Austin Dillon's a better driver than most of these guys down here, so I do think there's a little bit of upside starting 28th. There's not a whole lot of downside, so I do think he's a safe play.
Yeah, Austin Dillon seems to kill me every time I play him, but I'll probably still play him a little bit this week as well. Now we got Matt DiBenedetto. He's 6,500. He's starting 20th, and he had a okay practice, 11th in the 5-lap in practice 1 and 13 in the 5-lap in practice 2. So the practice times are there. Course history, he has an average finish of 30 in the past 2 years, which I don't really think that's going to matter because he is in better equipment this year, and he has been absolutely on fire this year. So I do like him a lot, especially at 6,500. You think after how good he's been doing, they'd up his price a little bit higher, but no, he's 6,500, which is perfectly fine. I like that price a lot. Starting 20th, I believe he did very good in the last road course this year. I forget which one it was, but I think he finished like top 5 in that, which is absolutely insane. So I do think Matt DiBenedetto can definitely be on the winning lineup. I think there's huge upside. I think there's place differential, and I think he can get that top 10. He's just really good this year, and I think at that price is absolute steal. I'm going to have a pretty good amount of him.
Yeah, I think this is a really good spot for MDB. I don't think he's going to move back at all. So, do like the price tag there. Ricky Stenhouse, I'm not interested in. Qualified 12th, just averaging 18 points per race here. Average finish of 25. I am not doing it.
Yeah, Matt Tiff starting 26, just at 6,200. There's no way I'm playing this dude. Practice times, nothing impressive there. I'm just gonna definitely fade Matt Tiff. There's no reason to play him at starting 26th.
Yeah, and he finished 28th in Sonoma. So, and Ryan Preece again, another guy I'm not really interested in. I really don't like this range of drivers here. There's some better guys that are cheaper in the 5K range, but Ryan Preece, another guy I'm not going to be having interest in. He was 30th in practice 2 in the 5-lap, so speed's not there in practice either.
Kligerman starting 24th. I never play him at 24, starting 24.
Yeah, we do like to play him when he's starting in the back, but he's qualified a little too high for us. Bubba Wallace, I play him a lot. He seems to have okay races. Then near the end, something bad happens. But didn't have the speed in practice. 27th in P2, and he has an average finish of 25, which isn't terrible when you're starting 30th. So I do think he's a decent punt option, but I don't know. He's just not my favorite play in the world. But he's not going to kill you, I don't think, starting 30th.
Ty Dillon, 5,700. He's starting 27. He didn't have a 5 lap in practice 2, but in practice 1, he was 25th in the 5 lap. He does have an average finish of 21 here with a top 20 in the past 2 years. So I think he can get that top 20 possibly. If he does get that top 20, I think he can hit value there. So yeah, Austin. I mean, Ty Dillon is definitely a play I'll be looking at.
Yeah, I like Ty Dillon at that price. David Reagan, it's starting 31st at 5,600. I think, is in an okay spot. Now, he was 25th in P2 in the practice 5. He's averaging 18 points per race here, which isn't that good. And he has an average finish of 25. But that gives us about like 6 place differential points. And I don't think he's a bad punt play.
Ross Chastain, I'm probably not going to play any of them at all. He's starting 32nd. I think probably the best he's going to finish is like 28. And if he does get that 28th place finish, there's not much upside, and he definitely won't be on the winning lineup. So it's someone I'm not going to be looking at this week.
Yeah, same here. Now, Reed Sorensen, this is going to be the last driver we break down. I think he is somewhat in play. Now, we only have one race to do this off of in the past, like 5 years, but he is starting dead last at 37th, and so he can only move up, and he did finish 23rd in that race last year, I believe. It's I think it's last year, but yeah, he got 37 DraftKings points, and he finished 23rd. So, I mean, it might not be the worst play in the world. You got to get lucky because, he's in terrible equipment, so there's always the chance his engine goes, but I don't think it's the worst punt play at 5,300. So, anyway, let's get into some of the next section of this. We're going to talk about our favorite dominators, place differential guys, and cheap guys. So, my favorite dominators are Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Chase Elliott. So what are yours?
I'm going to start with Kyle Busch as my favorite here. His practice times are just insane. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about how fast he was. I was not able to watch practice or anything, but I'll take the word for it. He was faster than everybody else. So first in the 5 lap in practice 1 and 2. So Kyle Busch is definitely my number 1. Number 2, I'll probably go Chase Elliott because we are getting a nice discount over 1,000 on the top 2-3 studs up there. So I like Chase Elliott second there. I think he can dominate the first stage there, and then if he does end up getting in the top 5, top 3, will definitely hit value. He's definitely a great play for sure. And then Truex is probably my third favorite dominator there. Just phenomenal here. So I'll definitely be playing all 3 of those guys.
Yeah, that's my order as well. Favorite place differential guys, I like Daniel Suarez the most, and then Joey Logano, Eric Jones, then Ryan Blaney. And there's a couple of other guys, but I want to list 30 people. So who are yours?
Yeah, there's a lot, and there's probably gonna be a lot more after inspection tomorrow. So that's gonna be something cool to look at there. But yeah, I so far I like Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano is pretty interesting. Eric Jones is even interesting for some place differential, and then Suarez I like as well, and then of course Bowman and Newman as well.
Yes, same here. GPP plays that are sneaky. I am Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin, and William Byron. They're all starting really far up front, but I think they can hang around there. Do you have any sneaky GPP play guys you like?
Well, of course, the 3 you said, but other than that, no, not really. I think Logano might be a sneaky GPP play because I don't think many people are going to be on him because he has been so bad here recently. And starting 21, I think there's place differential there. So I think that could be a sneaky play. I think probably get him under 20% or close to 20%. So yeah, other than that, that's about it.
Well, what do you think about Kyle Larson?
Kyle Larson,
I think maybe.
yeah, I don't know. He's starting 5th, and that price tag is very intriguing at 8,300. So, and he showed speed in practice. So yeah, as long as he doesn't crash, yeah, he could definitely get a top 10.
That's the problem. He's going to crash, though. So,
Yeah, he is.
and then cheap guys, I like Ty Dillon, David Reagan, Matt DiBenedetto the most. And then if you want to get weird, you can go Wallace, Sorensen, or McDowell. What about you?
Yeah, Ty Dillon's somebody I'm gonna be looking at, and then DiBenedetto and McDowell if he counts as a cheap guy. But those 3 are one I'm going to be focused on the most, and it might change after inspection. So definitely gonna be looking at that.
Now, I know you said in pre-show you didn't have like any major fades, but after talking through other drivers, do you have any? I have Almirola as mine, and Jimmy Johnson, really. What about you?
Yeah, Almirola, Jimmy Johnson, probably not going to play of, and then a lot of these guys in the back. I don't really like. Only like the 3 I really said, and maybe some Reagan, and Wallace is interesting. But yeah, just a lot of guys in the back. Might play really low on Busher. I wouldn't say fade him, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. And if you had to pick someone to win this race, who do you got?
That's very tough. I'm thinking either Kyle Busch or Martin Truex Jr. I'm just going to go with Kyle Busch here. I think he wants revenge because he's used to winning every race and he didn't get his chance to win last week. So I think he's going to want some revenge here and drive pretty angry and try to get that win. So I'm gonna pick Kyle Busch to win.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Do you have any dark horse winner? Maybe out of the blue?
Dark horse winner. Hmm. Maybe like Denny Hamlin or like Kurt Busch. I think I could see them like sneakily winning the race.
Yeah, you just completely stole the guys I was gonna say, so
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
it's okay. My big winner would be Kyle Busch, and then Martin Truex, and then Denny Hamlin and Kurt Busch as a dark horse. So anyway, guys, I think that's gonna be it for this. Do you have any other things you wanted to add, or are we good?
Yeah, guys, make sure you get on Patreon and check all that stuff Chris puts out. He puts a lot of time into that. I like it myself. It's very useful. All the stats you need, all the stats you could ask for, and it definitely helps you with building lineups and getting everything right for the race.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. So when access to that should be in the link in the description below. That's going to be it for the video. You can follow us both on Twitter at ChrisPinell16 and Andrew at nut_DFS. And remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Andrew's channel as well. He mainly puts out UFC videos and PGA. So that's going to be it for this. We wish you guys the best of luck tomorrow and have a great Sunday.